Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here. And there's just a lot that you need to be aware of that is going on in the country right now. For starters, we know that when Biden campaigned for president, he campaigned on the promise that he was going to bring unity between the Republicans and Democrats. Well, as it turns out, and as many of us are already well aware, that is the complete opposite of what Biden has done. We know in the first 100 days of his presidency, he brought up how he's going to seize control of our guns, seize control of our U.S. election, pack the Supreme Court, and even mess with our education system, all massively in favor of Democrat, socialist, and communist style principles. On top of that, right now, we even had our military purged of more Republican style ideas. In fact, I'm going to show you a video that was recently published on Fox News with Devin Nunes, who he specifically talks about how the military is targeting Republicans in order to kick them out of the military or make the military more Democratic run. And we already know that Democrats have taken over our education system, congressional system, the executive office, and now they're going after the military. We are severely in a lot of trouble here. We've also seen Republicans kicked out of banks for their political views, told that they can't go onto social media sites and post certain things that are I guess, how do I say, that the Democratic Party doesn't like. We are banned, we are delisted, we are deplatformed. This is not unity, nor is it the definition of unity. And not only that, now we also have Maxine Waters calling for confrontations and more uprisings in our streets. This is just race wars and wars here, talk of wars here in the United States from our congressional leaders. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. But for starters, and as a quick reminder, please make sure you have your retirement. Get a 401k or convert your 401k into something backed by gold, silver, precious metals. And you can do that now by going over to noblegoldinvestments.com. And right now, they're giving away this amazing Carson City uncirculated silver dollar with any approved IRA. So protect you and your family from any chaos that we might encounter in the near future with this inflation and deflation. Give them a call today and let them know that you heard it on Lisa Haven, but check it out at noblegoldinvestments.com. All right, so let's dive into first how the United States of America is breaking down. What I want to do for you is play this clip that I found on Rumble, and it's an interview with Fox News and Devin Nunes, and Devin Nunes says some pretty powerful stuff, but let me play the clip for you here. Take a listen.
Now we have the NSA, part of our military, where they're actually targeting naval officers, Republican naval officers. They're putting them under phony investigations in order to kick Republicans out of the military. That's effectively what happens. So I asked General Nakasone this, and his answers are pretty muddy. And I think a lot of the American people already know that the surveillance powers of the United States of America have been out of control. And now you have politicization where you're targeting Republicans and removing them from being able to even work at the National Security Agency.
Yep.
I think it raises real questions. If they're able to stop Republicans from working, what are they able to do that we don't know about, where we have caught them in the past willing to reverse target American citizens? And then you have this report that comes out on domestic extremism. What on earth? We're supposed to be looking at foreign threats. We're not.
Well, that's huge. And I think he says so much in there. But one of the main points that he's trying to make in that thing is how the NSA is saying basically, we're going to keep Republicans out of the NSA, basically out of the intelligence community. So if Republicans are being kept from certain branches of the U.S. government and certain branches and even the U.S. military, what does that leave us with? That leaves us with a Democrat-controlled intelligence community, NSA, military, all of it. You see, the idea from the very get-go, and please hear me out on this, is that they have control of every branch. And that's the branch I left off. Right now, the Democrats have the power and control of the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, all of them. Why do you think, on top of that, there's such a big push right now to get Republicans and conservative ideas out of the military, and not just out of the military, right, but out of our police departments? You see, They keep also pushing this idea to abolish the police. You keep hearing that, and they actually mean abolish the police. But here's the deeper agenda of it, is they want to abolish it and reform it to a federalized police. You see, let's take it from the state's hands and federalize it and make it more tyrannical in nature. This is like a Gestapo kind of style thing rising in the United States of America. And Devin Nunes is saying, hey, why are Republicans getting kicked out? And why is this even a question? Why is this not stopped at the root of the problem? When Donald Trump talked about deep state, I'm pretty sure this is what he was referring to, this kind of stuff. Is this the America that you want to grow up in? How about this? Maxine Waters, right, came out recently on the eve of everything that's going on with George Floyd and Chauvin, right? All on the eve of all of that. She crosses state lines and makes a statement. And let me play for you that statement because we all need to hear this. But take a listen to what she has to say. And keep in mind, what they tried to impeach President Trump over, the House did impeach him over, right? But obviously they didn't go forward with it. But this rhetoric is allowed. Why is it allowed? Because it's from a Democrat. We have two different things happening in the United States of America. If you are a Republican, you get consequences, but not if you're a Democrat. Take a listen.
I know this, we've got to stay in the street, and we've got to demand justice.
As a black man, despite all of the efforts, I feel like nothing changes. And George Floyd is waking so many people up, yet nothing has happened despite the rhetoric. Like what needs to happen that's different this year than all the years before?
We're looking for a guilty verdict.
Ooh.
We're looking for a guilty verdict.
Okay. Let's just pause right there. What are we looking for? She said we need to stay in the streets and we're looking for a guilty verdict. Let me add this. This is would be considered a direct threat to the jurors, right? If the jurors are listening to what's going on with the case right now, and Maxine Waters is saying, basically, if you don't give us a guilty verdict, we're going to go in the streets and be more confrontational. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. This is messing with the actual justice system and threatening jurors. But just keep listening to what she says.
We're looking to see if all of the talk that took place and has been taking place after they saw what happened to George Floyd, if nothing does not happen, then we know that we've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. But I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that will say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And not just manslaughter, right? I mean...
Oh, no, not manslaughter. No. This is guilty. For murder. I don't know whether it's in the first degree, but as far as I'm concerned, it's first degree murder.
What happens?
So if it's not first degree murder and those juries don't make the ruling, right? Doesn't matter what the evidence say. It doesn't matter what the actual trial, what's going on with the trial. Nope. Maxine Waters says if those jurors don't give them a guilty verdict of first degree murder, then we are going to be confrontational and we're going to hit the streets. But she goes on.
I get what you just told. What should the people do? What should protesters on the street do?
I didn't hear you.
What happens?
What should protesters do?
What should protesters do? Yes.
We got to stay on the street. And we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
What do you think?
That we mean business. We mean business, she says. So what happens shortly after this video? What happens after she calls for more uprisings, more confrontational in the streets? Well, this happens. NewYorkPost.com, right? 2 Minnesota National Guardsmen suffer injuries in drive-by shooting. A team of Minneapolis National Guard members and Minneapolis police officers were targeted in a drive-by shooting in the city early on Sunday as California Representative Maxine Waters joined hundreds of angry protesters and urged them to be more confrontational. I guess it didn't take long now, did it, Miss Maxine Waters? Where is the trial against her? Why is she allowed to call for little uprisings in our streets, which is against our very Constitution, by the way? We are allowed to protest, but we are allowed to protest peacefully. It doesn't seem Like, that's what she's doing. And these are the kinds of people that she's encouraging. Let me show you this on Breitbart.com. Jail killer cops, says this protester who decries United States for white supremacy, capitalism, and patriarchy. This is the other one here, Breitbart.com. Watch. Here's a BLM activist who Maxine Waters is currently addressing, different BLM activists, but this is one that says, asks when people are, quote, ready to get blood on their hands. Ready to get blood. Then we have this, RT News. Silence is violence. Armed BLM protesters in Dallas take over restaurants and picket a hotel. And you can see the pictures there, right? This is the kind of stuff that Maxine Waters is encouraging. At least that's what I take it as. We need to get in the streets and get more confrontational, and we're not going to accept this guilty verdict only if it's guilty of not manslaughter, first-degree murder, right? Then we have this, which is good. We've got some stuff happening from Republicans who are actually starting to do something, because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of do-nothing Republicans, right? But here it is, TheGuardian.com. Republicans are now demanding action against Maxine Waters after Minneapolis remarks, and that includes Kevin McCarthy and Marjorie Greene there. But here's one from Marjorie Greene. This is on FoxNews.com. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for Waters' expulsion from Congress for inciting riot in Minnesota. And there is a petition, actually, that you can sign for that as well. And also Ted Cruz came out against it. Dailymail.co.uk. Ted Cruz slams Waters for encouraging riots and violence after she called on BLM protesters to get more confrontational hours before 2 National Guardsmen were injured in a drive-by shooting in Minneapolis, right? So what does the Democrat left do in response to all of that? You got to remember that Republicans are already, as Nunes said, being kept from certain positions in the intelligence community, being kept from certain positions in the military. We're being kept from social media platforms. The social media platforms that are creating alternatives like Parler and Gab and MeWe are all being attacked massively because there are platforms that are starting to open up that are about freedom of speech. And what happens? Your Democrats, your Apples, your Googles try to shut them all down. But thankfully, some are surviving. But on that note, what does the Democrats do? They come out against the Republicans who are saying, hey, we don't accept violence. I mean, why was it acceptable for you to go after President Trump, who called for peaceful, right? He never, ever said anything that he wanted violence at the Capitol. He said he peacefully wanted to march. But this isn't what Maxine Waters is doing. And it's not the first time. If you've watched me on Restricted Republic, you got to get over there. That's all I can say. If you've watched on restrictedrepublic.com, then you would have seen a lot of the other rhetoric by Maxine Waters, AOC, Anaya Presley, and many of the other people who have called for who have called off and on for violence and uprisings in our streets, right? And this isn't the first time from Maxine Waters, by the way. But what does the Democrats do in response to that? Well, they go after these Republicans and start calling them white nationalists. Take a look here at this article on MSNBC News, right? And of course, we know this is a leftist news organization. GOP's new American First Caucus follows in same blatantly white nationalist footsteps. Excuse me? And they've got front and center some Republicans there that they obviously don't agree with. But they're saying because this congressional leader or that congressional leader wants to put America first, that somehow that's white nationalist attitude? Since when were we taught to hate our country? It's a serious question. And why are Americans even entertaining the idea? That's really a question that I think should sit in the back of our heads, right? Meanwhile, we have like organizations like Facebook giving millions through their bigwig, if you will, to Black Lives Matter organizations and then censoring the content about Black Lives Matter on their platforms. This is on a major scale, folks, major scale. Republicans and conservatives and Christians are being demonized. They're being segregated against. They're being labeled. And I have to tell you, it's terrifying the way that we are headed. And now we're literally being told, as Devin Nunes pointed out very clearly, that we can't be a part of the intelligence community, right? This is not The United States of America that you grew up in, folks, it just isn't. And I think we should all seriously start preparing for a form of communism to that akin to other countries, because that's where we're headed. And they'll blame it on the Republicans. Mark my words. Oh, we're only here because of the Republicans. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. Anyhow, if you want the real news on what's really going on and to get down to the nitty gritty, get on over to Restricted Republic. This is one way we get around all the censorship and all they've taken away funds from many Republicans, and you need to have a safe platform where you're able to talk and discuss with other like-minded people, and this is what Restricted Republic offers. And right now, we'll give it to you, and I'm only going to keep this for a limited time, but $5 for 24 months, $5 a month for 24 months. Use the code FREEDOM and check out restrictedrepublic.com. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.